My name is Andrew Carruthers and I've been a violin maker for over 30 years. Recently, I wondered what it would be like to make a violin from scratch using only materials that came from within 25 miles of my house. I made the violin and everything on it, apart from the strings and a couple of metal parts, actually grew out of the ground in Sonoma County. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of the violin, and you'll see that not only were a lot of local people involved in making it, but the materials that I chose have a cultural significance to the community. The redwood top comes from the logging industry that was a cornerstone of the economy of Sonoma County and the Redwood Empire in the mid-19th century. Part of our county was literally and figuratively built of redwood. This piece of old-growth redwood was very light and evenly grained and quite suitable as a tone wood. When I'd finished carving it down to where it gave me the right ring tone, it was still 40% thicker than it would have been if I'd been using my usual Italian spruce. The back, sides and neck of the violin started life in one of Sebastopol's apple orchards. The apple industry here blossomed in the mid-1800s and peaked in the 1940s. Fruit woods like apple are traditional carving woods, and it was a real pleasure to work for the back and scroll. It also bent like a dream for the sides of the violin. I didn't do all of the work on the violin myself. If there was someone local who knew more about doing something than I did, I'd ask for help. The inlay on the back was done by my friends Greg Zool and Mark Tindley, who are marquetry specialists. For an emblem, we decided on a tiger salamander, which is a local endangered species. And there she is, wandering across the back and treading on some fallen leaves from one of our iconic valley oaks. The tuning pegs for the violin were made by local woodturner Kalia Kleban. Kalia really dove into the project and made some great looking pegs out of local manzanita. Sometimes it seemed that the smaller the part, the more people were involved in making it. The label inside the violin was made by papermaker Jane Ingram Allen and calligrapher Sherry Loveler. And I provided the ink that I made from the hulls of California black walnuts growing in my backyard. The striped purfling inlay on the back and the top of the violin was made from wood shavings dyed black using a local mushroom, iron and tannin from acorns. I already had some previous experience of making instruments out of unusual woods, but there were parts of this project that were a real exploration for me. I made a traditional protein glue from the tendons of local beef. It took a few tries and some experimenting, but eventually I came up with something that worked really quite well. Another new venture was making the traditional tail gut. I obtained the intestines of a local sheep, cleaned them, and twisted them into a tail gut. Making the varnish for the violin started with collecting pine sap, which I melted to extract turpentine and resin, and I recombined them and mixed them with walnut oil that I pressed from locally grown walnuts. Once the violin was complete, I took it down to my friend Mick Loveland, who owns the local violin shop, and he made a bridge for it. The bridge was made of Pacific madrone. And here it is, the Redwood violin, a very local version of a very traditional instrument. It's a beautiful thing, but the most interesting thing about it is that it's a tool for making music. And that's what we're going to be looking at in the next part of this project, Played Local, where I'll be loaning the instrument out to musicians in the community who will make all kinds of music.